Hello, I'm Robert, and I wanted to welcome you back to our painting lessons. Today we're going to do another Bob Ross. I'm a certified Bob Ross instructor, and I think you're going to enjoy this one. So let me begin show you what I've got done here already. I've got a black outline of a canvas here. I put gesso on it. I've made a pattern inside here. I put a piece of contact paper over here over the space that I've left white. I'll probably have this come down in a minute, but if you have some good contact paper, this could protect your white area in here, which we're going to come back to and do. But we can probably do it without the contact paper. So we've got the white contact paper, or the contact paper down there covering our white space. We've got a very, very thin coat of liquid clear on top of our black area. So very, very thin. It's got to be super thin coat of liquid clear. And then on top of that, I put just the lightest tint or lightest amount of phthalo Prussian blue on top of that. So Prussian blue on top of that very, very thin coat of liquid clear. So today we're going to do something very fun, very experimental. This is one of Bob's crazy days that he used to call them. So we're going to try this one too. I'm going to just step over here for a minute, and I think I'll just put this curtain up here. Just pull this curtain over a little bit so you can focus in on the painting. So I've got all my colors laid out. I've got from right to left, I have a little bit of bright red. This is titanium white. This is Prussian blue, touch of black. I have a little bit of dark sienna, Van Dyke brown. This is alizarin crimson. This is sap green. A little bit of Indian yellow, cad yellow, and ochre. So those colors we'll be using, if not all of them, most of them, but we'll probably use all of them. So the first thing that we want to do is we're going to be using this fan brush. You could use a 6-inch one or a smaller one. This is the smaller one, it's a 3-inch one. So I'm going to take and I'm going to dip my brush into, I'm going to take a little bit of the titanium white. I'm going to grab a little bit of the blue, a little bit of brown, and then I'm dipping into odorless paint thinner. This is where this painting is going to really, see how loose that is? It's falling down even. Very inky. A little bit of sap green, more brown, touch more white. And now we're going to go back. I'm going to take my contact paper off, and then you can leave that on yours. Mine just isn't sticking very well. So now I'm going here with this brush, and I'm just going to make some nice zigzag lines in here. Now, I've got the paint mixed with paint thinner with odorless paint thinner. And underneath this, as we said, we have liquid clear with a little bit of Prussian blue. And paint thinner has a very strong reaction when it's mixed or hit with odorless paint thinner mixed with liquid clear. So it gives us a very interesting special effects. You can use whatever colors you wish in here. But you can see the reaction that that paint is having. We'll just come up here, do some more. It's getting us all kinds of nice special effects. Here. Now, if you have your contact paper on here, you don't have to be as careful as I am here. Now you can use any color that you wish on here. You be as creative as you want. This is putting our nice background colors in here. And this continues. This will continue to work on the canvas for several minutes. And again, you use whatever colors you wish in here. And you squiggle your brush, make any kind of patterns that you think and that you'd like in there. And this effect, as it dries and bleeds more and more together, you're getting some wonderful special effects. So I've called this painting a Wizards Enclave. It's so kind of unusual. It's almost like a fantasy painting. And we can sometimes add just some clear without color. I'll just add a little bit more of this Oler's paint thinner. And that'll start it to bleed even more. So I hope you can see those nice special effects. And you can be, as I said, you can be as creative as you want with this. Back, add a little bit more, adding a little bit more liquid clear. You add as many colors as you think, any amount of colors that you want, any amount of colors that you want in here. I'm adding a little bit of, I put a little bit of sap green in here. Okay. So as I mentioned, that this takes a few minutes, and you're still going to get some more blends and bleeds in here as it starts drying and mixing, and it's going to be quite an interesting background. So I'm going to clean my brush. I do this in Oler's paint thinner. I have a brush beater rack below, and then I'll take even a little bit of a paper towel, kind of dry the ends off it, because you want it nice and dry. So now we have our center section in here, so we can do some sky. So I'm going to take my 1-inch brush, and I'm going to come in with some liquid clear, or liquid white. I'm going to get a little bit of tint of colors in here, but that's okay. I'm going to put some liquid white in here. We had liquid clear all the way around here, but now we have liquid white inside here. And we want this to be very thin too. And this will just make our paints flow easier once we put our colors in here, start painting. And we don't, as we've always said before, we don't want this thick. We want just a very, very light tint of color in here. If you get too much, you just come back with your brush touch it into your paper towel and pull it off or wipe it off. Okay. So we've got that going on now. And I'm going to apply, we're going to make our little scene inside of here, our little landscape, our little cove area. So I'm going to tap into that alizarin crimson. I just want a little touch of it at the end. I got just a little bit of that at the end. I'm going to start over here and make my little X's. Remember, this is just a very light tint. Just on the very edge. Now, if you were doing this at home, you would allow this background to dry overnight and maybe even for a week, get it dry, and then you'd be applying this. But we're doing this film, so we'll just proceed. Okay, so I don't want to paint a wall type thing. We're just trying to, we want to leave some of these little actions in here, so we got some values in here. Then I'm going to come in here with my Prussian blue, just a tiny, tiny bit at the end. I'm tapping into here, both sides, pull it out, tap it in, start up here. I'm just going to make some X's coming in here. I'll bring it up to my alizarin crimson, and that's okay if it overlaps because that'll blend nicely. The Prussian blue usually eats up the crimson. I'm just coming around, trying to be a little bit careful because I do have the wet paint. Just little X's. I have the wet paint on the borders. And then we'll probably have a little bit of water down here. I'll just pull some colors across this way. Again, I'm trying not to jump into that wet paint on the sides. And I'm trying to pull in this direction when I go this way and this. I don't want to go back and forth. I'll smooth it out like that, but I don't want to do that to begin with. I want that little bit of sheen in the center. across on both sides. Trying to be careful not to touch my wet paint. Okay, so we're getting that nice water. Yeah, we could make that land, but right now we'll say it's going to be some water. Okay. Clean the brush. Once again, in odorless paint thinner, and then use the brush beater rack. You could always do this with lots of paper towels to dry it if you don't have the brush beater rack. So I'm just going to lightly come over here and just smooth a little bit more. Just blend a little bit more all the way up. I want nice, soft, gentle transitions. Okay, so we have a nice, soft blend of colors. Now I'm going to clean my brush again. Then I'm going to go into my titanium white, and I'm going to tap into my brush mostly on the corners, and I'm going to tap a little cloud pattern out here. I'm just going to tap. Nice soft cloud pattern. I'm going to gently, just the end, just the corner of the brush, a dry brush, lifting up and across. Just to suggest some nice cloud patterns. I'm going to come back again. I've added just the slightest touch of pink in there, and I'm going to tap in more. I'm going to take just a tiny bit of the yellow, tad yellow, and tap that in there for another value. getting it as soft. And it's soft and a nice gentle transition. Roll it up here a little bit and up and across. I come over here and just tap into the floaters and then gently stroke it, fluff it, go across. You can see this side is making some more movement too as we're doing that. Okay, so we have that going. Let's let me clean my brush again. And we'll take our palette knife I'm going to come up here, grab a little bit of this blue, take a little bit of blue here, a little Van Dyke. This is some black, a little bit of crimson, some more crimson, and we'll pull across, get this little roll of paint at the end, and we'll build a little bit of a mountain here. Let's go here, here, put one maybe here too. Now I'm only concerned with, I don't care what less of what's going on in this inside here. I'm only concerned with the outside edge. Scrape off all the excess. Clean the palette knife. And then we're going to mix a little highlight. Well, first we'll pull that out. Got a clean brush. Come over here and just drag that so we have that nice soft transition for our mountain. And the brush again. Then I'm going to come in here with a little tint of white with a little tint of red in here. So I have that little roll of paint on here. I'm going to start at the peak, barely touching. I'm going to gently touch the top and just let it float down. Come over this side. And then we'll get more here. I just touch it, drag it, let the canvas take what it wants. I'll come over here. Maybe a little bit thicker over here. And maybe a little bit more down at that end. Put just a little bit more. But you see, I'm not pressing hard. I just want it to grab it and pull it and let it break. Okay. I'm going to clean my palette knife and we'll make a little shadow color. I'll take a little bit of white, maybe a little bit of this blue, a little bit of black. More blue. Cut across. And then this side, when we did this, the snowish type side, we went this way. Now we have to go this way. So I come back at the top, gently, pull across, come over here, and down here, another shadow. Then I could come with a little bit of my black even. And I'll just get a few more, tap in a few more highlights inside here. Just a few more highlights in it. Okay. To clean my palette knife off again. I'm going to come back to my dry one-inch brush. I'm going to pull it through the white, and I'm just going to tap at the base. To get some fog at the end of it. So we just tap, tap, tap at the end. And then we come back with a clean brush. A little more tapping. We're going to go the same angles of tapping that the mountains are going. So this side it goes this way. Over here it goes to the right. we lightly lift up. Very, very lightly lift up. And now go across. Okay. Now we're going to put in some distant trees. So to do that, I'm going to come back with my fan brush. And I'm going to go into a little bit of the, this is a little bit of the Van Dyke. This is a little bit of the green in here, Van Dyke. A little bit of white in there. These are distant, so I don't want to, I don't want them to be that distinctive because they're in the background. So we tap in. These are the distant ones. All right, so we have a little bit of line of tree in there. So then I've added a little bit of the Van Dyke to that green to get a little bit darker green. And then I'll put another row right in front. If you get these two spaced out, they'll look like picket fence, so remember, to get them fairly close together. So we'll come back with our clean brush here and just, I'm going to gently lift up. And then I'll go across just to indicate a line of trees. Then I might come and pull some of them down in the water. Go across lightly to indicate a reflection. And then I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back with my palette knife. I'm going to cut a little row. I'm going to spread this out. Cut a little row at the end and just cut in a little bit of a water line. Okay, so we have that going on. Then we're going to come with our fan brush again. And I'm going to take a little bit of the black here, a little bit of brown, a little black, brown, grab a little bit of green. And then I'm going to start another light row of bushes, trees on the left side. Okay, I'm going to pull those up lightly just to soften them. And then I'm going to come with a little bit of a darker value. There's some greens mixed with the Van Dyke. And I'm going to make another row here, darker row. Okay. Then I'm going to take, with my 1-inch brush, I'm going to pull a water line down here. And across. We're going to then add titanium white, a roll of the light white. We'll put that water line across there. Okay. Now we're going to come with our fan brush. This is our bravery test. So I'm getting some dark black, a bit of brown, a bit of crimson. I've got that brush loaded. So I'm going to come up here, this is loaded with dark. I'm going to tap over here, and I'm just going to drag right outside the paper, right outside the grid. I'll come over here. Back in here. That's a nice big tree. And the branch over here. So I've got that lined up. We'll come back at the bottom and we'll just kind of ground him a little bit. Okay. Then I'll come back with, I've got a little bit of white here. I'm going to take some white, a little bit of the sienna, or white, cut across, and we'll just highlight these a little bit. I'm just touching the edge of the tree and kind of almost lifting up. Just that little roll of white on here, touch, a little bit of pull, but not a little pull, but not a smudge. I'm kind of making a little bit of a half circle to get a little bit of a curve. I've added just a touch of the crimson with a little bit of the Prussian blue for our highlight color. Okay. So we'll clean our knife again. Put on a little bit more white. I spread this out. I'm just going to get a little bit of a white highlight in here on this side. I'd say the light would be hitting it that way. On this side. And I'll come down here. So I'm going to set this down for a minute, clean my knife off again. And then I'm going to come with our liner brush. I'm going to come back here with the darks, the blacks, the browns, and I'm going to dip this into odorless paint thinner. I'm making this just as very, very watery. And then we're going to take the end and just kind of add some nice branches. nice and loose. Lots of paint on this. Lots of paint on that liner brush. And you can put as many of these branches as you wish in here. You want them nice and wispy. Okay. And they can flow right off your grid here. A couple things up here. You could even come with your palette knife, get some nice thin ones. Like some little grassy things down here. Come back with some black and brown. Big roll up here. I'm going to touch this, pull, what is it on? Fence over here. Maybe one is falling down here. We'll add a little bit of a highlight to it. A couple boards over here. Then with the tip of our knife, I grab just a little bit of red. Just highlight the tips of that. Okay. So I hope you look at this top part here. I'm going to wisp a little bit of this paint thinner into it. Just to give it a little bit more of a nice flowing shape. Down here. Okay. Well, just a few more touch-ups. Do these branches a little bit. I'm going to put a few more highlights on them. Okay. Then we'll come back. I'll clean my 1-inch brush again. I'm going to dip it into, I got some liquid white here. So I'm just going to tap. See, I'm tapping into my Indian yellow. And I just want to tap. I don't want to overdo this, but I want to tap a few little patterns in here. Just get a few little basic shapes in there. We don't want to overdo this, we just want a few indications. A couple down here. So once again, if you look at these wonderful shapes that we have in here, that frames our painting, it's kind of fun. Just a wonderful rendition. Tap a little bit of value down here. And I think we'll probably end there. That's kind of our version of the of an enchanted setting. Maybe you'd have a wizard coming up into this area here, or a fairy. But it's got, as I said, it's got a lot of nice, interesting textures in here, grains. You can use this with many different colors. You decide which color that you like in here. You put your various colors in there, and uh, and see what you come up with. You know, you can get some reds and greens and yellows, of course, in there, or you could just stick with the browns and get a nice brown wood grain frame in there. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and look for it on our YouTube channel, of course, and look for our other ones on there. And I hope to see you again soon. Take care. This is Robert.